The Galaxy S20's leaking like a whale's blowhole. And speaking of big, it looks like we're about to confront a spec head's dilemma. Fasten your seatbelts and hold on tight. This is the Android Police Podcast.
Do I actually have to? We do wait. Okay. It's Wednesday, January 15th. Welcome. I'm Ryan Hager alongside Cody Toombs. Returning to the show today is our favorite Samsung secret spilling savant from XDA. It is Max Weinbach.
Hello.
How's it going, Max?
Samsung stuff. It's fun.
You've been pretty busy for the last couple of days. You ruined the lovely weekend we all had here on the East Coast, spending it all inside, tearing through the Galaxy S20 software, through your leaked images, the physical design of the phone. I think you even have, you were just showing us 3D printed copies of all three sizes of the phone.
Yep. Oh yeah, they are huge. They're fun. But yeah, no, I've got a lot of Samsung stuff, and this weekend was most definitely destroyed because of it. Worth it though.
It was definitely worth it. I mean, you unleashed a ton of information about the phone.
Yeah, basically everything.
Yep.
It's like the Pixel 4 all over again.
Yeah, that is an accurate comparison.
Well, hey, if Samsung kept any secrets, blank, 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 we'd have nothing to do.
Yeah. I think there might be a couple secrets here and there, but nothing I actually know about. I know there is a secret though.
Well, that would make them better secrets.
Yeah. Such a secret. I don't even know. That's crazy.
I mean, it's possible there could be more stuff to come too. Who knows how close to final some of the software is? You might be looking at pre-release builds, right?
But it's definitely
most of it's probably there.
Yeah, the hardware's there at least. That's for sure.
Yeah, at this point, they definitely have the hardware and specs locked down. They couldn't really change anything this close to release. So
yeah, the hardware is definitely 100% confirmed.
Yeah.
And I would imagine almost all of the software, you might see like some feature names change, but that's probably it.
Feature names, and then they're basically fixing app crashes, and after launch, they're gonna like enable 3 or 4 features that weren't there at launch. It's basically it.
Phone DLC, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Except you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I mean, imagine if EA made a phone.
Oh, geez.
That's terrifying. Terrible. Yeah. All right, so before we dive in too deeply, if anyone has any questions or chat has any questions, feel free to drop them in here. And I'm sure that Max or us, probably Max, can answer any of them. And yeah.
Yeah. So let's hit specs.
Okay. Talking Snapdragon 865 or Exynos 990 on every device. There will be 5 devices, and that's insane. The Galaxy S20, Galaxy S20 5G, Galaxy S20 Plus, Galaxy S20 Plus 5G, Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G. All the 5G will either have the Exynos 990 and whatever their modem is, or the Snapdragon 865 and the X55 modem, which is good. And just because I have to mention this, the 5G modem also supports LTE because like no one understands that for some reason.
Yeah, of course it's going to support LTE. I think all of the current 5G modems do.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, oh no, it's 5G. That means no more LTE. No, it still has it.
But I'm not sure if the LTE modem is on die with the CPU or if it's part of the X55. I think it might be external. So even on just LTE, you might see, I know Ron Amadeo had an editorial 2 weeks ago that was especially concerned regarding Qualcomm's off-die preference for the modems and battery life concerns that could affect. Because off-die, you could see some decreases in battery life like we saw with off-die LTE modems back in the day.
Yeah, it'll probably won't be too big of a deal because they've got huge batteries.
They do.
4,000 4,000 milliamp hours for the smallest one, 4,500 for the mid-range, and 5,000 for the largest.
Yeah, I can't really see it being a problem.
Yeah, if you're using the 120 hertz mode, because of course it's 120 hertz, My source was using the full HD 120 hertz mode. He got this equivalent battery on the S20 Plus as the mid-size S20 S10 though.
Oh wow.
So that might not be great.
That is not ideal because I was really impressed with the S10 Plus's battery life. When I first got it, I was in New York City and fortuitously my other phone died. So I popped my SIM over and popped it in, had to skedaddle out of the city like right then and there. And all I had was the blank slate S10 Plus. And of course I hadn't signed into everything. It was, you know how efficiently and how well all of these phones run before we bloat them with everything. Nonetheless, I think for the remainder of that day, I got like 6 or 7 hours of screen on time. I was kind of stunned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's also like a 100 milliamp hour battery.
Yeah, but that phone was just something else when it came to battery life. That was really surprising to me because I was coming from, the 7 Pro. It's a good phone. It lasts okay on a charge, but it's not like that.
Yeah. I think the 120 hertz screen is just gonna burn through battery. But it's full HD, which is hopefully gonna save something. I'm not sure if it will though.
Yeah. And I guess it does kind of make sense that they would cut down the resolution a little bit. It's probably a little easier on the GPU. It's not going to burn as much power, but I doubt it saves too much.
One of the battery testing YouTube channels said they did a video, and the only difference in battery life between full Quad HD and Full HD on like a Note 10, it was 15-minute difference.
Yeah. So
I would sooner think performance is their concern there. Not necessarily like on simple apps, but if you have anything that's a little more demanding, that's already kind of pushing the CPU, once you really start pushing all the components, man, performance could dip a lot at those resolutions.
Yeah, and the worst possible way to show off a high frame rate monitor like that would be to have it drop in frames all the time, right? Yep. You'd be seeing as you're, no, that's not nice. You'd see the jarring transition as it stuttered down. So I guess it does make sense if performance is the primary concern.
My concern was, I think they're only doing that because of the Exynos version, because that's always weaker than the Snapdragon. So if the Exynos GPU can't handle it, but the Snapdragon can, they'll knock down the Snapdragon because they want feature parity.
Yeah, that's something someone will have to take a look at post-launch. That sounds like a reasonable theory.
Yeah, and they should just use Snapdragon everywhere, and it'll make everyone happy. No one will be annoyed. Everyone will be happy about that. I hope the S20 Ultra has Snapdragon worldwide, which I could see them doing.
And on that note, S20 Ultra specs, S20 Ultra 5G specs, that bumps things up to, 12 and 16 gigs of RAM, right?
Yeah, so I've heard a couple things. One person said 16 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte UFS 3 storage version. The other one, someone else said 512 gigs of UFS 3 and 16 gigs of RAM, and then 256 and 12. Okay. By the way, the 128 version isn't available in the S20 Ultra. That was they had pre-production models of all the devices with 128 gigs of storage, but they're nixing some of those because it wasn't enough storage.
That makes sense.
So it is 256, 512, maybe 1 terabyte, and then 12 and 16 gigs of RAM options.
Okay.
Which is insane.
It's still wild.
I love that they're saying, hey, wow, these sizes are just not enough. Let's definitely go larger. Meanwhile, Google is looking at those sizes going, yeah, nah, that's too much.
64 gigs is enough, right? They'd do 32 if they could get away with it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not convinced they wouldn't go back down to like 16. Cynicism.
And the other big benefit of the Ultra models is the upgraded camera, right? So what's the camera difference that the Ultra gets?
So the Ultra gets the 108 megapixel camera with a 12 megapixel ultra wide and a 48 megapixel 100 times zoom.
Wow, periscope?
Yep, periscope. And it also has a time of flight sensor. And then the normal S20s, both the other two, will have a 64 megapixel 3 times zoom with up to 30 times digital. Then a 12 megapixel main sensor from Sony, which is the IMX555, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Okay. And the S20 Plus will have time of flight. S20 will not. So
the one thing that surprises me from that is I thought I remembered, because I mean I haven't admittedly played with too many of the periscope based zoom cameras, but I thought that the general optical limit right now, even the Oppo Reno that was able to hit 10 times zoom, was actually just a 5 times with a 2 times software zoom on top of that, right?
So it's basically that,
Okay.
except they're using 48 megapixels. So when you go higher, they can crop in and still have the extra pixels for detail.
Okay, cool. So it doesn't have to. It's cropping as opposed to zooming. Okay, cool.
It's essentially going to be 50 times. So essentially the 5 times digital, 10 times hybrid, 50 times whatever. Then after that, crop in even more because you have more pixels to work with.
Wild, cool. But still, it's not a true 10 times.
No, and maybe they're doing something special, but it's probably the 5, 10, 100, whatever.
Okay.
And I did hear it looks absolutely horrendous from one of my sources that I'd used it.
What do you mean, the photos from it or the camera itself?
The photos from it. The camera itself looks very good. It doesn't look like any of the leaks so far. You'll have to wait till you see it to actually know. It doesn't look stupid.
Okay.
But the photos from it it's a blurry mess.
That's too bad. Maybe it's missing stabilization or something right now. It could be. Do we know how pre-production the nature of the camera is yet, or?
So the camera app crashes if you try to go into like 3 of the modes.
Okay, yeah. So for all we know, the processing could still be being worked on.
But the actual color science behind everything is done, and I've seen a couple sample shots from it, and it actually looks pretty good. It reminds me of the Pixel on iPhone.
Good, because I've always felt, I know a lot of people disagree, that the Samsung's kind of been behind the curve for a few years when it comes to color processing.
Yeah, and also night mode is much better now. Like, much better.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Every company's really been focused on this last, like, 2 years. So,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's probably going to be because of that larger sensor, because the 12 megapixel sensor in the S20 and S20 Plus has larger pixels, which, by the way, I would rather have that than an 108 megapixel camera.
Well, I assume that the 108 megapixels is probably going to bin normally, right?
It's going to bin 3x3 instead of 2x2.
Okay, yeah. So that's still, I mean,
12 instead of 27.
I would rather have bigger,
larger pixels would probably still be nicer.
Yeah, I would rather have bigger pixels, because then you get, even then, if you're binning to the same physical area or you have the same physically larger pixels, the physically larger pixels get a little more area. So I'd rather have that.
Yeah, and I wish they would have done that, but I wish they would have made a larger 12 megapixel sensor in the same size as that 108.
Yeah.
But then they couldn't do 8K video, which all 3 of them will have.
I know, up to 30 frames per second, right?
Yeah, 8K 30 FPS. Weird thing is, on the S20 and S20 Plus, it'll be out of the telephoto lens. Because that's the 64 megapixel sensor, and you can't run 8K off 12.
Kind of makes sense. Yeah.
It's just really weird. And my other theory with that was, maybe it's not a telephoto lens. Instead, they're taking 64 megapixel photos and just cropping in, which would be terrible, but I don't think many people would be able to tell.
That'd be wild.
Well, it's not the worst idea in a lot of ways, because obviously you're saving yourself from the distortion that's going to be at the edges of the frame anyway. But at the same time, you're just killing your sharpness.
And honestly, Samsung's already been killing sharpness for years, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. I hope they don't mess it up, but they probably will.
So, sticking with the topic of cameras, one question from the chat. I'm not going to try to say this person's name, but basically, will any of these models have a macro lens? And as far as I see, no.
Which, no macro lens.
Okay.
Kind of
I remember
an interesting departure from all of the other companies that are jumping on macro suddenly.
Yeah, I remember some of the original leaks. You thought it might have had a macro lens. Is that
I did. I thought it was either. So at first, when I first saw it, before I got the camera sensors, I thought it was going to be either a dedicated 64 megapixel video lens, which would have made, or a macro lens. And it wasn't either. It ended up being the time of flight. I'm still not sure. I'm still confused by what the camera setup is, because I see the physical device and it looks different than it's confusing. And that's the camera setup, what sensors and everything you're getting is going to just be different. I'm not actually going to know. I can tell you what sensors it's using, but I don't know what lenses is which until the actual launch or more leaks, because it's really confusing. But I can tell you there is no macro.
Okay. That's too bad, because I honestly kind of like the macro lens on my 7T. I don't think it would actually have a lot of general appeal, and I don't know if it's a wise move for anyone else to put one in a phone. But
Samsung
I
did
really
it. A51.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's great, but I don't know if a lot of other people will.
Yeah, I like it on the Xiaomi phone, except the Mi Note 10. Except they put it flush with the glass back, so I always end up putting my finger over it. Since that camera setup is straight down the side, so it goes like halfway down the phone. And I prefer camera bumps, the big camera squares, after using that phone.
You know, if you're going to do something like that, I'd almost rather they orient it the way that the 6P was, where you just basically own the entire span across the top of the phone.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that what TCL did with the new ones? The 10 Pro?
I thought
they did it down a little bit further, but it's still straight across.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was mixing up phones, but yeah, you're right. In fact, I think it was their Pro model. I remember really liking it because it didn't just go. It wasn't just a block that went near the edges of the phone. It was actually in a nice kind of raccoon stripe that went all the way across and all the way to the edges, and that looked actually really good.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah, it did. I like that. I like the TCL foldable, but it's never coming to market.
No, not a chance. At least not in that form.
Yeah,
no. Foldables are still the best.
So, one other quick question from chat regarding night mode. Will it be available on all the lenses on the 20 Plus and Ultra, or is it probably going to just be select lenses?
So it is on every lens currently on the Note 10 and S10. So I'm assuming they're bringing it to all the lenses. And it is better, but I'm not sure if that's because the sensor is better or because they've upgraded the software on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just can't tell from what I've seen.
I would also question if they'll leave it that way. Like, for now, I could see it being a testing thing, but you know, some companies will test this stuff to see like which lenses it works well with, and then if they reach that point of saying, no, it doesn't really work on this one, let's just axe it.
Yeah, that's not Samsung's thing. They'll keep it even if it's bad.
That's true.
I was gonna say.
I mean, it's bad right now, and they kept it.
A couple other quick questions. Will the Snapdragon S20 Ultra have the SD840, 845, or 865 in all regions? Do we know if the Exynos model is going to also come in the Ultra 5G?
I don't know, but I think it won't. I have a theory it won't, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. So I was going to say that
kind of makes sense to be Snapdragon.
Yeah, that would sound reasonable, but
the other 5G models, the S20 5G and S20 Plus 5G, are Exynos in other countries.
Yeah.
And the 4G versions, which aren't in the US, are all Exynos as well.
Yeah. I was going to who was it who said that I think you said in another leak that the only ones that were coming to the US were the 5G versions, right?
It's only going to be the S20 5G, S20 Plus 5G, and S20 Ultra 5G.
So we won't even have the option here in the US of the non-5G versions.
Yeah, we'll only have 5G. And they're going to put 5G wherever they can, but in countries where you just can't put it because of regulations or network, they're going LTE.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, of course.
Let's see. So, just hitting a few more questions. Well, one person, let's see, Universe Cycle asked, will they limit 120 hertz to 1400p if the processor is capable of it? Rather, why would they do that? Which we basically hit. We're kind of thinking that they're doing this just so they can avoid any performance hit. Which makes sense. You know, when the resolution's that high, if you can't keep up with it, you can't keep up with it. If you drop a frame, that looks terrible. So,
and I know we're probably going to mention this later, but OnePlus did say that they're using like the video interpolation for upscaling things to 120 hertz. And that sounds like a terrible idea on a phone.
That's never good.
Terrible idea at all times. Don't do it. No one should do that.
Soap opera effect is bad.
It hurts me on the inside.
I like 60 FPS video. That is bad though.
If it's recorded in 60 FPS, it's fine. If it's recorded in 120 FPS, that's fine. But don't do motion interpolation. It looks like garbage.
Well, or if you're going to do it, it needs to be done in your editing software where you can actually control it, check that it looks okay, run it correctly, and where you actually have the ability to process and render this at, you know, slow speeds. If you're trying to do it live, it's gonna be garbage.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Even then, I remain skeptical.
Well, if you have to be able to see it. It's one of those things. When you see what a good editing software can do, it's okay. Like sometimes it's bad, but you can check it. If it's bad, don't use it. If it's good, you get to.
So for our last question here, because it's hilarious, Max, will the Galaxy S20 run 2 UI instead of 1 UI?
Yes, it's well, kind of. It's 1 UI 2.1.
Oh, so close. That was actually not a terrible question. I thought it was a funny question.
Yeah. No, as soon as I saw 1 UI 2 was coming out, I just immediately thought they should have named it 2 UI.
They should have. That would have made more sense to me.
Yeah, but they didn't, and everyone's sad.
Let's see. Have to Sleep just asked, so many Exynos models, even for the US. They've shut the production of those down, if he's not mistaken. Do you think they are selling last units like that? I'm not quite sure what that means.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I have no idea what that means.
All right, that may need a little more clarification.
Yeah.
I think we've been pretty sufficient here on the market distinctions and differences between the Exynos and the Qualcomm versions here. The 5G versions are going to come in both Exynos and Snapdragon. Or the 5G version will come in both Exynos and Snapdragon, right? We'll have the Exynos modem paired with the Exynos SoC and the Qualcomm SoC paired with the Qualcomm modem. The non-5G versions will be Exynos only in countries other than the United States, in markets that don't support 5G. And I think that's about it, right?
Yeah. If you guys want to talk about a little software thing there's one thing that I've been tweeting about, but I fear for humanity if I leak it. AR emojis are getting upgraded again. And they don't actually look terrible now.
I don't believe you, Max.
Okay, they look bad, but not as bad.
I don't believe you at all.
Oh, but don't worry. You'll be able to play with the AR emojis.
Oh God.
And
like
they
full
will
interaction
mimic you again.
What?
It has a mode called Play. I got it somewhat working on like an S10, but it doesn't fully work. Where you'll be able to like walk around an AR emoji and just play with it on your phone screen in AR.
Ew.
It sounds terrible. Also, they're adding Fortnite dances to AR emojis.
Wow.
So I was really hoping they would make DJ Ko go on stage and start like Fortnite dancing at Unpacked.
So can't you share these AR emojis with other people? So like you could share your AR. So I could have like a little Max voodoo doll in my apartment I can dance around with and make dance and do strange things here.
That sounds creepy, but yeah, you could.
Good to know.
Also, they're adding music to the AR emoji, so you'll be able to like share a video of it. And the music is like does not match the songs. What's the animations?
I cannot wait for the most cringe-worthy presentation of all of this by Samsung.
Because I was mentioning to someone a couple days ago, this is probably going to be like a 10-minute portion of the event.
Yeah.
And well, everyone's just going to want to leave.
And I want to say it, but it has to be after Apple. You know, they're going to keep writing this as long as Apple's still writing it.
And we should thank ChickDigger802 for subscribing with Twitch Prime. And on that note, Cody, kicking it over to you.
Yes, yes. So if you're enjoying the show, if you've enjoyed the leaks, if you've enjoyed the chat, the conversation, all of that stuff, Android Police is live on Twitch 4 times a week. We can't do that without your support, and we appreciate it as it comes. You can support us by subscribing to Android Police on Twitch. You can also send us bits or donate on the website. As a subscriber on Twitch, you get access to the Rhine emoji, which he is modeling in his own special way right now. You will also gain extra entries into the AP giveaways. We will be running another one of those again very soon. Tiers start at $5 a month, or if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get 1 free Twitch Prime subscription each month. Just make sure that you come back after your subscription has elapsed and resubscribe. Unfortunately, you got to do that manually each time. But you can learn more at twitch.tv/AndroidPolice. And thanks for listening. Back to the show.
Okay.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Before the break, sorry, someone had mentioned, is it going to have slow fees? Yeah. They will. The S10's and Note 10's got them with a software update, and the S20's have them now.
It makes sense. Again, this is... Yeah, I'm sorry, but anything that Apple does, Samsung will do.
Copy. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to... I don't feel comfortable calling it a copy, but it's going to be something that's similar in some way.
Unfortunately.
And it's fair. It's not like Apple isn't copying half the stuff Samsung and Google and everybody else does too. So
everybody copies everybody. That's just how it works now.
Welcome to the industry.
But speaking of things that people aren't copying, and I really wish they would, OnePlus's pop-up mechanism on the 7 Pro. So this is an editorial, not news. Late last year, I think late November, we got the first renders of OnePlus's upcoming 8 Pro, and it showed a Samsung-style hole punch in the top left of the phone. And I have since then, I've been like kind of sad and articulating my feelings about precisely how and why I feel sad. And I feel sad because I realized I really like the pop-up camera mechanism. Like it's pretty cool. It's kind of, in a weird way, it was one of the features I was most anxious about when it came to the 7 Pro, but it's one of the things in hindsight I love the most about the phone, because you get big all-screen design, and all you have to do to give that up is have a single moving part that so far almost no reports have indicated failure for. And there are, smaller benefits like privacy. When something's using that front-facing camera, it has to like pop out in order to work. So it's a small point, but there are a lot of little reasons to like it. And I'm sad that it's going away. I'm upset.
Yeah. I think I have 3 pop-up camera phones right now. OnePlus, Vivo, and the Xiaomi Mi 9T. I think OnePlus did it the best, but I still don't like it. It just doesn't feel great to me.
You take too many selfies. You're too young, Max.
I don't take any selfies. But for facial recognition, it's annoying.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I have always been against the idea of pop-up cameras, not for durability, or not for the durability reasons that are mentioned in the post, but because I'm convinced that if you go anywhere near sand or anything that is sand-like, eventually this is going to get in the way. And like you mentioned in the post, also IP ratings.
Yeah. That is the one potential advantage. Is while I was looking into it, we don't cover a whole ton of the Chinese phones at AP. We're primarily a US focused site, and a lot of stuff never makes it over here and isn't relevant. But I was going through every single phone that has this sort of pop-up design, and not a single one has an IP rating. And so I think that might be a significant factor behind OnePlus's decision to drop it. Because I mean, we know that they work with their manufacturing partner BBK and Oppo and Vivo. They just kind of use what's on hand when they design their phones. So if this mechanism, it was the development costs for it were admittedly shared, but they would have to have a reason to give it up, because why would you face the criticism of going from an all-screen design to having a camera hole cutout if you could avoid it? I feel like it's kind of an unwise move. So there must be a reason, a motivation behind it. And my guess is that because we've yet to see a pop-up camera phone have an IP rating, I think there's a chance we might see the next OnePlus phone finally.
Oh, no, it hasn't.
Yeah.
It does.
Max would know.
IP68.
Yeah, good.
And wireless charging.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how
will
much you
throw
wanted
in.
to talk about these leaks because you've told me all this before. So I didn't want to bring it up too much, but whatever you want to say, you can say.
Yeah, it's those are just the basically two things I'll say. It's IP68 has wireless charging, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about time. I gotta say though, just throwing it in, I think the pop-up camera also posed at least a little bit of complication with cases. Not bad.
Okay, that's fair. That's reasonable.
Yeah, you couldn't really do like a really thick case where the camera was going to come out. Otherwise, you would have blocked the camera.
Well, so it does stick out far enough that that's not a problem unless you're using like the world's beefiest case, because there's a good like there's a couple millimeters, but
they exist.
Oh yeah,
they do, but you shouldn't use those cases. They're ugly.
D-brand for the grip like has an adhesive piece of the material that they use that sticks onto the top of the camera, so even when it's down, it's protected.
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun one.
But yeah, I will always agree that I like seeing things like this, if for no other reason than I want phones to have differences, and I want to see phones that are at least exploring things that other phones aren't doing. So any excuse to get away from hole punch or any sort of notch, because notches are freaking horrible. I'm happy about that.
You know, notches don't bother me that much, but
you're broken.
I do love the all screen. But the hole punch does bother me because it wastes more space than a notch does. So I am like actually offended by those.
Does it though?
The status bar. You look at the thickness of the status bar, man. You're wasting more.
They're both just as bad.
Nah.
The S20, it's like about the same size as normal. It didn't look unusual in the S20 screenshots I have.
I don't know. It is on like the Note 10, so the cutout for the Note 10 is larger than you would get on like a standard square phone in terms of the size of the status bar.
Barely.
The point is, there's no practical reason why a hole punch has to take more space. In some designs, it certainly has taken a lot of space, but
they do put them too far down. I don't know why they shove them up closer to the edge.
You know, maybe there's a manufacturing issue there. Maybe if they put them too close to the top, it might be
earpiece or something.
It might make them too breakable or fragile.
And that's also why you don't really see many hole punch phones with cameras in the middle, because there's not enough room in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is why that's also why they moved the so for the Note 10, they moved everything around because you can't have the camera in the middle with the hole punch in the middle.
Yeah.
And like the S Pen messed with some stuff for sizing as well. So it just ended up being weird, and we got a iPhone looking Note.
Sorry, I'm just reading comments for a moment.
Yeah.
So I think that was actually everything we had to say for the episode. So if anyone has any additional questions here, we could answer.
Oh, what about the Pixel 4a? We might as well put some of that on the podcast.
We could talk about the Pixel. I mean, so I still think you're an actual liar when you say that that's legit, but we'll drop it there.
Someone told me that it looked real. I still think it's fake. I
don't believe them. I don't believe you.
I will tell you who said it. I'll message you guys who said it. Just
it's not.
I don't want to say it.
It's Dave Burke.
I don't want to say it out loud, but like the company who did it, I'll DM it to both you guys, but the company, and Jules as well, company who said it, like I'm pretty sure they'd know. You know, like this doesn't sound like something that they'd mess up on.
I don't know if they have access to one yet. I don't know about that.
They were telling me they already had it.
Okay. Don't do that. No, don't do that. He's DMing it to you. Don't have it. Okay.
He wants the Android police account. Okay. Yeah, like if you look there, that the screen is cracked, by the way, on the front there.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at it, the earpiece speaker does look real, but that camera looks so fake.
It does. This has to be a shop. It might look real. Your source might say this is what it looks like, but this is a shop. This is fake.
Yeah.
Something is definitely wrong here. That being said, to be fair, if you took a picture in the right lighting, you could maybe get a camera looking kind of like that.
The white.
Yeah.
That is too white. The cutout for the
And
white.
That's not even like equal. That like part of the camera
Yeah.
cutout
Oh,
there
yeah.
is
It's
just
wrong.
Yeah.
yeah. And I don't even think it kind of matches. And then the last one just looks like the Pixel 3a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it could be real, but it's like definitely fake.
Okay. I just looked at who you said. That makes a world of sense.
Are you sure they're just not trolling you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, people will maybe later find out what this is. Not from us. I mean, just if you ever decide to share that. But yeah. I can see reasons why both they could be they could be screwing with you, or to be fair, they could have been screwed with.
Yeah,
Because
both could be true.
Yeah. So let's see. One quick question from chat. Will non-Ultra S20s have SD card support?
S20 Plus don't know about the S20.
Okay.
And headphone jack's dead on all of them, right?
It's gone.
God damn
it. Buried. The only Samsung phone that I know of getting it this year is like the Note 10 Lite.
And it's so weird the Note 10 Lite would get it when the Note 10 doesn't even have it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the S10 Lite was like basically an A90 5G without the 5G and a better camera. Those were two really weird phones to launch.
Yeah.
And they probably should have just
I think someone described them as Samsung parts bin phones, which like eerily accurate because they don't even share much with each other or the phones they're trying to emulate. They have like weird distinctions that don't make any sense.
They're like it's like the A51 and A71 with better specs than an S Pen for both of them.
It's like something didn't sell well enough. They're like, we need to rebadge these guys.
It's probably like the Note 9 didn't sell well and they wanted to reuse the S Pen and processor. Because the Note 10 Lite is, I want to see teardowns, but I'm willing to bet they took the same board and just shoved it in a new body.
Well, you got to figure at the scale Samsung gets to produce most of these phones, they really don't even have to worry about producing something that will a single part that's going to appear on every phone, because they honestly really just can produce at high enough scale.
The only thing they couldn't was the Galaxy Fold.
Well, yeah, but the Fold is a special phone.
Oh, the new Fold. We didn't mention that one yet.
Oh, we didn't talk about the new Fold. We can talk about that briefly.
You have things.
I do. 3,300 milliamp hour battery. So it's bigger than the 900 we were all afraid of earlier. Good. It'll probably cost under $1,000.
Whoa.
Good. Actually,
it'll be
really that's hard
so
to
a
imagine.
Korean Report and Sam Mobile were both saying they think it'll be about 850.
Whoa.
That much below the Notes. That I have a lot of trouble believing this.
Well, do we know what chipset it's going to use? I haven't followed this in much detail. Really?
Yeah. Sean said 855.
Okay, so last gen flagship. Maybe they're getting a good deal on it.
They probably just have a bunch left over from other devices, because at this point they're probably not like manufacturing anything with the 855. So you might as well throw it in there. Also, it could be because battery life. I was just thinking about that. Battery life. They couldn't use an Exynos chip because it's not powerful enough for like a good flagship. They couldn't use the new one because their 300 milliamp hour battery is not good with a like discrete 5G modem, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I guess that would make sense. Yeah.
You'd need something, and then the Exynos 990 is probably worse than the 855, so you might as well just go for the 855 there.
And like I was saying earlier on before we started the show, the S10 Plus, you got some killer battery life off of that. So
yeah,
the 855
and the S10 5G was crazy. I got to use one for like 2 weeks.
For a hot minute, there was this crazy, at least I consider it a crazy rumor, that the Fold 2 would have S Pen support. I'm thinking this is insane. Have you heard anything?
Kind of. So we have two different reports about two different phones, and people are confusing the two.
Got it.
The new Fold that's coming out is basically an S10 Plus without a telephoto lens that folds in half. It's basically what it is. It's probably the size of the S20 Plus, just folds. That's basically what I'm expecting it to be.
Okay.
And then we're getting another fold later in the year in the same tablet style we have, which will be ultra thin glass and have S Pen support and be slightly larger, and an 108 megapixel camera, and 5G and the 865.
All right.
Is that the one that everyone was saying might actually have a flexible glass display?
Oh, both will.
I don't believe it. Not for a minute.
So no, this one does have flexible glass, but it is a layer of plastic, flexible glass plastic.
No.
So they were trying to layer the plastic over the glass for extra protection to hold it together, and just to say they had glass.
That's stupid.
Yeah. But now, and there was also I think CNET had written something today. A company's trying to sell these foldable display, whatever. Companies working on foldables, a diamond-based spray that you put on foldable glass to protect it.
Huh. I know that there was that sapphire coating that some company was doing that was involved in that Huawei drama, but I didn't know.
Yeah. It's basically the sapphire coating, but diamond instead, and they were trying to sell it to companies because apparently it doesn't come off easily, feels better, and helps protect like foldable glass. Yeah. Interesting. It's really weird.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't.
Yeah. I know that's exactly it. We need to see not necessarily even as a product yet, but we need to see some sort of proof that this is something that they've actually delivered.
I believe Samsung can do like anything it wants, but when you're telling me that they've made a basic fundamental advancement in material science without doing it like super publicly, I will believe it when I see it.
I mean, they're probably using Corning's, or I think they said there was some firm near them in Korea that had foldable glass.
Even Corning like hasn't had much to announce about foldable glass. They've had that Willow for ages, but the Willow is really just used for like the corner radius on AMOLED displays. Yeah. You can't make a tight folding radius out of Willow.
Yeah. I think what was it? Because I talked to someone who had used that new fold, and he said it felt like plastic, and it still had a crease. So I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
But what I will say, it sounds better than the Razer in every way.
I mean, that's a kind of a low bar to clear. The Razer has lower end specs. I don't really know what the appeal of the Razer is other than the fairly attractive design, admittedly, and the nostalgic marketing. But like as a phone, if you look at it separate from its design, if you're looking at it on paper without seeing it in person, it doesn't sound like a terribly impressive folding phone, except for the fact that it's one of a very small number of folding phones.
Yeah. And the only folding phone that's really on the market right now is Samsung's. And the Pablo Escobar foldable.
And the Huawei one. Yeah.
Kind of. It's in China. It's sold out everywhere, and you can't really buy it.
And it doesn't have Google Apps, right?
Oh, you can sideload those. Yeah. I sideloaded Google Apps onto my Mate 30 Pro.
Yeah. So there's a question from chat. Is there any news at all about DeX? Is it changing, getting better?
No difference. Okay. I have the APK. I have a full system dump from the S20. The apps did not change version number whatsoever. So it's literally exactly the same.
Glad to see that Samsung cares.
Yeah. There's a couple other
speculation in the room is that Android 10's desktop mode, once it gets good enough, may just replace DeX, which I'd be really super skeptical about that. I don't think it's ever going to get good enough.
Convergence will never happen. We should just stop trying.
Also, Samsung, that one's based off the launcher, and I don't think Samsung wants it to be part of the launcher because DeX is its like own system UI and desktop everything. So there's no way that would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. Oh, someone also mentioned, will the in-display fingerprint scanner be faster on the S20? Maybe. I was talking to Ice Universe, and he said they had some software upgrades on it, but the physical sensor is most like 99% likely to be the same as the Note 10 and S10.
Okay, so it's not the new two-finger whatever. Okay.
No, because on the phone, I have pictures of it. The logo size for scanning it is the same physical size as the S10 and Note 10.
Oh, that sucks. It's too small.
It's fine. It's muscle memory with those phones where you have to get it perfectly every time for it to be accurate. You
like
need the
even the
perfect amount
optical
of pressure.
sensor.
Yeah, I don't like optical sensors though.
Optical, I feel like they're a little more forgiving because you don't have to be quite perfectly aligned. But
Oh, it depends on what generation optical you're talking about.
that's fair. That is fair.
I just picked up the Mi 9 from early 2019, and it is tiny.
Yeah, and they were also slow and not very good. But like the one on the 7 Pro and the 7T, that's fine.
Yeah, those are fine. I noticed something weird. From the 7 Pro to the 7T Pro, it changed from a green light to a white light.
No, so the 7 Pro is also a white light, isn't it?
No, it's green.
Oh, you're right. So no, I remember talking about this in our review. So the 7T and the 7T Pro use a different sensor. They use a more advanced sensor. Yeah.
So they're not using. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 is also white.
So
they're probably using the same.
Yeah, probably.
OnePlus.
Or the same generation of whatever improvement occurred. Yeah.
But it's weird. I think OnePlus said green was the best for fingerprint scanners.
Green was the best at the time. So I remembered I talked with them when they did the first in-display fingerprint solution. So there's a lens under there. There's basically a camera with a lens. And at the time they were like, yeah, it gets this is essentially on background. But at the time, this, it got a really distorted view of your thumb. It couldn't really resolve a whole bunch of really fine details, but it could see contrast with green. So they had enough to be able to pick up just kind of your fingerprint map. But if you were to use it as a camera, as an actual camera, it would be totally garbage. And so with the new one, with the white light, I presume that they've improved. It's not a really low resolution, low quality, whatever that they're working with before. It's better now. And it is significantly faster.
I wonder if app developers can use that camera as like an actual camera.
I'm not sure that it faces the system in the same way. I think it's
with a good ROM developer, could probably make it work.
Maybe, but it is basically just a camera. It's an optical. It's a camera with like a giant, ugly garbage lens.
I think David tweeted something ages ago saying Google is tempted to remove like the user trust, whatever access to optical because they weren't super secure.
Yeah, well, what happened to Samsung? That ended up being secure, right?
It took them a software update to fix that one, which was actually kind of impressive.
That's fair. I think that the lack of security on the optical readers has been overstated because there was part of that was Qualcomm wanting to put out a hit on optical readers and get everyone to switch using it's ultrasonic.
Actually, they can't. Ultrasonic is Samsung only for the first 4 years.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's 4 years, but for now it is Samsung only.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It is. I think it might have been 2 or 3 years, but I know we're likely not going to see any optical from anyone, or sorry, ultrasonic from anyone else for maybe another year. Which also means that new one is probably going to be used in the upcoming Samsung phone.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems odd to me if they would have an exclusivity arrangement like that, and then Qualcomm would announce it just ahead of the chipset that's in the new phone, and it doesn't get that. That seems weird, but
I kind of want ultrasonic fingerprint scanners and laptop trackpads.
That'd be cool. That would be actually.
I'm honestly surprised Apple hasn't done that yet.
Yeah,
and if I'm sure they will eventually, but we'll get there.
A wireless charger.
Samsung, I would almost bet will be doing it too. Possibly sooner.
I mean, their trackpads are wireless chargers now.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get too off topic, we should note all of the topics we found today can be found. That's not me. I'm not supposed to be saying that. I'm reading the wrong person's thing.
So anyway, Jules wants us to close up shop. If you've enjoyed listening to the show, all the topics we've talked about today can be found at androidpolice.com/podcast. We're live 4 times a week at twitch.tv/androidpolice. If you've discovered the show and enjoy it, please support us with a sub and visit androidpolice.com. And if you'd like, please look for that donate button. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so you can send emails to podcast@androidpolice.com. And Max, why don't you tell us a little bit about how people can find you?
Probably Twitter. My Twitter is Max Weinbach, which is MaxWinebach, because Max Weinbach normally taken by someone who hasn't used Twitter in 4 years.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah.
And if you're in chat, I actually posted the link to his Twitter just a little bit above.
And plug yourself a little harder. Max also writes at XDA Developers. You can read him there.
XDA, and I make videos for the XDA TV YouTube channel. That's another one. There's an S20 video live right now with like the dummies, if you want to check that one out.
And if you are a Samsung employee, you are currently also scrambling to figure out what other things he is about to leak. So
we're trying to find my address to send out a hit.
So yes, anyway, on Twitter, you can also find Ryan Hager at Ryan Hager. That's RYNEHAGER. You can find me at Cody_Toombs. That's CODY_TOOMBS. And our producer, Jules Wang, is at Point Jules. And the theme music is by Home. Somehow we'll be back again for another show on Friday. Until then, take care, and we can't wait to see you again.